Hi and good morning, Miss. My name is Siti Nur Amirah binti Aminullah and I am from E19. So, today I would like to bring you into a magical world through my presentation titled The Magical of Learning English, which is effective strategies for teaching English in bilingual and multilingual early childhood education. So, why did I choose this fairy tale? Why did I choose this theme? I chose this fairy tale theme on purpose because of what? Because I want us to imagine, I want to bring us to another world just for a moment that every teacher is a little bit like a magician, someone who can turn a child's fear of a new language into a curiosity, joy, and also confidence. So, let's begin this magical storybook journey together. Let us imagine that this presentation is a guiding or is a storybook journey. Okay. Before we dive in more further, let me quickly walk you through what we will be covering for today. So, first of all, we will discover the two language kingdom, which is a simple look at what bilingual and also multilingual education really means. After that, we will journey through the forest of hurdles, which is where we will talk honestly about the challenges that children and also teachers face along the way. Okay, then comes the heart of this presentation. We will collect the five magic tools, which is the five practical strategies that I think we can trust using in our own classroom. And finally, we will talk about the teacher's role. How us as a teacher, we can become a very good mother to our student. So with that outline in mind, let's dive into our first chapter. Okay, so we can start first with the basic one. When we say a child is bilingual, what does it mean actually? What is bilingual? What is multilingual? So basically, bilingual we simply mean they can speak two languages, and when it comes to multilingual, the child can speak three or more languages. Okay, so here's the part I find what can I say most interesting part. What I like to call the magic secret. Like the research actually shows that when a child already has a strong home language, doesn't get in the way of their learning English. It actually helps. Knowing more than one language grows a child's cognitive superpowers, meaning that their brain becomes even stronger, not become more confused. So, once we understand the term of bilingual and also multilingual, it is become more easy. It is become more clear that the home language is actually not the issue. It's actually not the problem to fix. It is actually a foundation to build on, and that bring us to our next stop, which is the challenges, the real challenges that we may face along this journey. So we always say that we always hear people say like every meaningful journey has its bumps along the way, and this one is no exception too. Okay, so when on this slide, I want to talk through three hurdles, which is three challenges that children and also us as a teachers commonly face. So, the first hurdle is language barriers. Like, can we think like being dropped into a classroom where everyone around you is speaking a language that you don't fully understand yet? You want to tell your teacher that you need to use the toilet or that you are feeling hungry, but the words simply aren't coming out of their mouth. So I think that can feel a little bit of scary, even isolating for a young child. So we, as a teacher, um, how what is our role, what we can do to help them, right? So we need to recognize this feeling and also respond with patience rather than judging them or respond by frustration, something like that. So we move on to the second hurdle, which is the issues on the cultural gaps. Sometimes it's not just about the language itself, but it's about the whole environment actually. So the rules, the routines, what's more, even a simple things like how children are expected to greet a teacher or how meal times are structured might feel very different compared to what a child experiences at home. So this adjustment actually takes time, and it is not something we should expect a child to get over so quickly. And the last hurdle, the last challenges is I personally think is the most misunderstood part which is the silent period. Have you ever noticed that a child who seems to understand everything you say, follows instruction perfectly well, but simply he or she doesn't speak much in the new language yet? So this is actually very common and it's completely normal. It's called the silent period. So during this time, the child isn't behind or not learning, but it is quite the opposite. They are absorbing the language quietly, building an internal understanding before they feel ready to produce it out loud. So, as a teacher, our job here is not to force them to speak, but to create a safe space where the child feels comfortable enough to speak when they are ready. So now that we have named these three challenges, honestly, the good news is we don't have to face them empty-handed. This is where our five magic tools come in, which is the strategies, and they are designed specifically to help us navigate through this forest with confidence. Okay, so our first magic tool is called the spell book of storytelling, and this strategy centers around using digital poster books and also picture stories. Let's break down why this works so well. So, the first point is bright, colorful pictures can help children guess the meaning of new words. Think of it like, for example, like a puzzle. When a child sees a picture of a smiling bear holding an umbrella in the rain, even without knowing the exact English words yet, they can start to guess the word. They can start to guess the word like rain, wet, umbrella, protection. So that is what we call using visual context clues. And it's an incredibly powerful and natural way for children to build vocabulary without direct translation. And on top of that, children genuinely enjoy story time, like sharing a book together, pointing at pages, predicting at what happened next in the story. So this joy itself is what we can say it is a part of what makes learning stick, what make learning more funny, more fun. Okay, it is not just um a boring storytelling time. Okay, so we move on to the second point, which is the interactive iPads and also digital poster books that this even further take this even further. Okay, instead of a static picture, which is with our physical book, imagine a page where when you tap on the picture of a cat, it makes a meow sound, or something like the picture animates and move. So this multi-sensory experience, like seeing, hearing, and also touching all at once, makes English come alive in a way that a plain printed pages sometimes cannot give it. Okay, so here's the practical magic tip that we can use starting tomorrow. So pause the story once in a while, like when, for example, when we have the study session in the morning, um when 30 minutes in the morning, right? According to our KP 2026, we have the 30 minutes of study session. So after like a half half pages of the book, we can pause the story and ask a simple question about, for example, like what do you think will happen next? What do you think what do you think will happen with this cat? Is it going to die, or something like that? So this technique is called dialogic reading. Instead of just reading the whole storybook to the child, we need to read it with them, and also invite them to respond, guess, and also practice saying new words out loud in a low pressure and also playful way. So to summarize this first tool, use bright visuals, use interactive digital tools where possible, and don't be afraid to pause and ask questions during story time. So let's move on to our second magic tool, which brings a different sense into play, which is sound and also rhythm. So let's proceed with our second strategy, which is the melody of magic, which is we are using songs, chants, and also rhymes. So why does music work so well for language learning? Let's look at 3 points. The first one is rhymes help our brain remember new song and tricky English words much more easily than plain repetition alone. So this helps children to remember more quickly, more easy. So think about it, like many of us as adults can still remember songs or nursery rhyme that we learned back when we as a preschooler, right? So word for word, we even remember word for word even decades later. That's because rhyme and also rhythm create a kind of memory hook in our brain. So the repeating pattern makes new vocabulary easier to store and also recall. For example, like the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star song. It is a repetition, run, so that child will remember it more easily because of the rhyme and also the rhythm, like twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are, and it repeated. Okay. um so the second one is when we adding a few, like we add dancing, clapping, like we add a movement. Clapping, hand motion while singing, it helps children connect the sound of a word to its actual meaning. Like for example, when we sing the head, shoulder, knee, and toes song. Like when we sing at the same time, we also pointed at our body part. Right. So like head, shoulders, knee, and toes, knees and toes, we point. Children aren't just memorizing sounds, but they are practically touching each body part as they are synced. So this physical action reinforces comprehension far more effectively than words alone. And the third one is perhaps the most emotionally important part, which is singing as a group. So this can create a feeling of safety. When a child sings together with their classmate, no one is singled out. No one feels embarrassed if they mispronounce some words. Okay, so this group setting makes children feel happy, included, and far less shy about practicing their spoken English. So here's a practical suggestion. Why not try introducing simple English song with repetitive lyrics and also action into our daily routine? Perhaps during morning circle time or transition moment between activities, or even we can have the um, song session when we are we are already getting ready to go back home. So um, even the little time of singing can make a real difference over time. So now from music, let's move on into a strategy that children often enjoy the most, which is play. So, our third magic tool is the royal playtime, which is the play-based learning and also role playing. So, let's think about this for a moment. When do children speak the most freely without fear of making mistake? It is usually during playtimes. So, this slide highlight two lovely examples. So the first one is the royalty party, which we can see a picture, a group. We can see the picture, a group of children sitting around a small table, pretending to pour tea, offering imaginary cakes to their friends. So in this relaxed, imaginative setting, children naturally start using English words more something like more tea please or thank you for the yummy cake, so they are naturally speaking without without they feel stressed about the grammar, about the vocab, something like that, without even they realizing that they are actually practicing language. So this is the key point. Children learn best when they are having fun, and natural conversation during free play brings out new English words organically without any pressure. So the second example is the knight's castle. This is the example for roleplay where children pretend to be the chef, to be the doctors, or um, I'm sorry, or fairies. So this kind of imaginative play lets children practice real life and also practical vocabulary. For example, words a doctor always might say, or words a chef might use. Um, like okay, bring the patient calm in my room, something like that lah. All within a safe, low stakes, imaginary world where mistakes don't matter. So here's an important part for us as a teacher. We are not just observe during this playtime. We also can actively join in, which is we can sitting down together with them at the tea party, picking up a toy stethoscope in the doctor's corner, and gently introduce new vocabulary based on exactly what the children are doing in that moment. So this is far more effective than teaching vocabulary lists in isolation, because the words are immediately connect to a real world. Meaningful action the child is already engaged in. So my challenge to you today, next time you observe children at play, don't just watch from the side. Join in and use it as a golden opportunity to introduce new vocab or new words naturally to our children. So let's move to our fourth tools, which is where we bring in physical objects and also technology. So the fourth strategies is enchanted artifact, which is using visuals, realia, which is simply means real objects, and also digital resources. So let's go through the points here one by one. Okay, so first, fun apps give children exciting, interactive ways to practice vocabulary. However, and this is the important part actually, there's a magic rule attached to this point. So these apps work best when used in a small group with a teacher guiding alongside. Simply handing a child a tablet and walking away is not the same as using technology purposely. So, with adult guidance and interaction, this method can be used. So the second one is real objects and toys that children can actually touch, make abstract English words feel real and also understandable. For example, instead of just showing a picture of an apple, we can give them the real apple. They can hold, smell, and even taste the apple. So it can connect the word apple to a full sensory experience. This can create a much deeper, longer lasting understanding than a picture alone. So the third one is pictures act as visual anchor. So this means a picture help a child connect a brand new English word to something they already know and recognize. If a child already know what lion look like in their own language, seeing a picture of a lion alongside the English word lion helps bridge that gap quickly. And the last point is real life object and props that children can hold and touch can help them learn by doing. So this is what we call learning through realia. It makes vocabulary far more meaningful compared to simply memorizing words from a worksheet. So in practical terms, whenever possible, bring real objects into your teaching so that this tool um, can make the a more fun learning environment. So let's move into our last final magic tool, and I personally think this one is the most important out of all. So the fifth and final magic tool is the rainbow bridge, which is translanguaging and scaffolding. So let's begin with the definition itself because this term might be new to some of us, right? Translanguaging simply means using a child's home language as a tool to help build a bridge toward English. It is not a failure or a shortcut, but it is a legitimate research supported teaching strategy. So let's look at the 3 points on this slide. Okay, first, children can use their home language to express big feeling or complex thoughts, especially in moments when they don't have the English vocabulary to fully explain themselves. So imagine a child who is upset trying to explain a complicated feeling to their teacher. If we insist they only use English at that moment, we will risking the situation, like we will risk shutting down communication entirely. For example, like the we shut a kid when they want to tell us something in their language, so they don't want to talk to us anymore. Okay, so instead of that, we need to allow them to express themselves in their home language first, and then after that helping translate or bridge that into English keeps that so it can keep the child emotionally supported while still working toward English proficiency, like Miss always do to us, right? Okay, so the second point is teachers can use familiar words the child already knows in their home language to explain new English rules. So this is actually called scaffolding, where essentially using something familiar as a support structure to help a child reach something new and unfamiliar. Like, for example, if a teacher knows a simple word in the child's home language, using that word to clarify a confusing English instruction can actually save a lot of frustration and also confusion. And the last point is I think this is the message I want all of us to remember from this presentation way, which is we need to celebrate all of a child's languages. Every single language a child speak is part of who they are. it is their identity, their family history, their culture. So our goal as a teacher is never to replace um, or remove their language, but it is to add another language, which is English, as one more tool in their toolbox, while honoring everything that they already bring with them. So with that, we have now collected all five of our magic tools. So let's bring them all together into one simple summary. So here is the summarization slide. So, storytelling using book and also screen is best for building new vocabulary and context. On the other hand, songs through music and movement are best for perfecting pronunciation and strengthening memory. At the same time, play and role play using toys and imagination are best for encouraging natural speaking and building confidence. Next, realia and digital tools. Things like iPads and puppets are best for touching, seeing, and interacting directly with new words. And finally, translanguaging through our Rainbow Bridge just now is best for creating deep understanding and helping children feel culturally safe and respected. I actually noticed something important here. None of these five tools work in isolation. So in a real classroom, we will likely be combining several of them within a single lesson, which is we are doing this as a teamwork or group work. Okay. So now that we have our full toolkit in our hand, let's turn to the person responsible for using this tool wisely, which is us as a teacher. So in this slide, it is actually about us, the teacher, about our role. Okay, so as their teacher, as the educator, as the and also the parents, the caretaker, the caregiver, we need to truly support our children. So let's start with what we should do. So we should create a warm, safe, and happy classroom environment so that children learn best when they feel emotionally secure, not when they feel anxious or judged. Second, invite families to share their culture, song, and home language with the class. So this does two things at once. So first, it validates the child's and the identity, and the second, it can enrich the entire classroom cultural understanding. And the third one is always praising children for every attempt they make, for every achievement, even the little achievement. So no matter how small or imperfect it is, if a child mispronounces a word but tries anyway, that attempt gives us a genuine encouragement, not correction alone. So now let's look at what we should avoid, what we cannot do. Okay, so first, we cannot ban the home language in the classroom. Telling a child, no, don't speak your mother tongue here, sends a damaging message. That part of their identity is unwelcome. So this can create anxiety and even resentment toward the learning process itself. Second, don't force a child to speak while they are still in their silent period, which we discussed earlier, right? Pushing a child to speak before they are ready can actually backfire, making them more anxious and more withdrawn. So this is our final slide, which is our conclusion. So we have four points to conclude here. So the first thing is English is a magical journey, not a race. Every child develop at their own pace, and that is completely okay. The second one is home languages are a child's superpower, not a challenges. We must stop viewing bilingualism as a problem to solve and start viewing it as a strength to nurture. The third one is use stories, song, play, use the strategies, okay, to make learning more joyful. When learning feels like play rather than pressure, children absorb language far more naturally and happily. And the last one is teachers and family need to collab, okay? need to make the very best magic team. None of us can or should do this work alone. The partnership, the collaboration between home and school is what truly make the difference. So I think that is all from me. Thank you.